This is CRM Audio, the Microsoft Dynamics CRM podcast, with George Dubinsky, Joel Lindstrom, and Sean, the CRM Hobbit Tabor.
CRM Audio, the Dynamics CRM podcast, is sponsored by KingswaySoft. They offer robust error handling and superior performance to streamline your development process and increase productivity. Their Dynamics CRM tools simplify integration development work with easy-to-use development and scheduling processes. With their SSIS toolkit, your data integration can happen quickly and automatically so you don't have to worry about out-of-date records. The ultimate goal of the toolkit is to simplify data integration development work. By utilizing SSIS as your data integration platform, you can take advantage of the flexibility and power of SSIS ETL engine, which enables integration with virtually any application or data source that you may need to work with. We thank KingswaySoft for their support of CRM Audio.
It's cold in Sydney. That's all I can say. It's nighttime and it's getting cold. So it's, in your speak, 60?
Look at you doing the on-the-fly Fahrenheit calculations. Good man. It's always muggy in Tampa, so, you know.
I'll be the judge of that in October this year.
Yes, indeed. And the three of us have to go to the Columbia, get some really good Cuban food. That's on my schedule for us to do.
I went to Canada last week, and I was going to rent a car, but I decided not to because I didn't think I could accurately translate the speed limit kilometers per hour.
Isn't it on the speedometer?
I just saw but I just saw the sign that said 80 kilometers per hour, and I just knew that I would probably try and drive 80 miles an hour.
I wonder if there's a version of I can't drive 55 for the rest of the world. You know?
Yeah. So, Sean, what's the CRM news? It's been a while since we've had a news update. We had a great episode last time with Tanguy, but we didn't have really our normal news segment. So we're hungry for some news.
That was a great episode, and I'm sad I was not here for it. You guys did a great job. Couple of stories we got. First off, in field service. Microsoft released the field service for Dynamics CRM for Windows 10 mobile. So that on the surface, that doesn't really say a lot because, basically the Microsoft employees can now get field service. But outside of that, what that says is, to me, as someone that's looking at field service and Field 1 quite a lot these days, this is a definite shift to move to the out-of-the-box or dedicated Microsoft Field Service mobile solution instead of the Resco solution.
It's not Resco-based anymore?
It doesn't look like it. It looks like it's just the out-of-the-box Microsoft CRM mobile app. So, and it's the developer is Microsoft Corporation, and you could download it on the Windows Marketplace. There was a bit of a couple of interesting comments if you look at that download. Apparently, when it was first released, there was iOS screenshots put up there, which wasn't taken well by some of the participants in the comments. But it can also be used on the PC, which is important. So if you're on Windows 10 and you're using a Surface, for example, you could use the Microsoft Field Service mobile client, which is a big step. What this takes away, if in fact it is strictly a Microsoft product and has nothing to do with the Resco. I have not, for transparency, I have not installed this, so I'm not sure about that. I plan to do that, and I'll give an update when I do. It takes away the requirements of having to install Resco, install the solutions for that particular mobile installation and the configuration that you have to do on the Woodford solution to enable the mobile features, which is, in my opinion, that's a great move, especially for customers who don't want to have to deal with two separate configuration steps. So that's big for field service. Not sure what that says for the future going forward. I'm sure Rusco will continue to try to integrate with the field service, but now that it's part of CRM, it'll be interesting to see how long they continue to pursue that, or if they just keep trying to be like an innovator or a fill in the gaps that Microsoft does not provide.
I wonder what kind of features they had to add to the mobile app to take the place of the Resco functionality. I know they added the signature control in 2016, and so they had that, but there were still some UI components and reasons that were limiting the ability to just switch the existing Field 1 app over to the out-of-the-box mobile.
Well, some of the scheduling features and functionalities, the turn-by-turn direction, I assume is integrating with Cortana and Bing Maps. The deeper integration into the phone contacts, that sort of thing. So there's a lot of different features that were in the Rusco solution before that's now in this Microsoft solution. And this is a separate mobile solution outside of the CRM mobile app. What it looks like is if you have field service, you would have, conceivably, you could have both mobile solutions on your device.
What else we got?
The other one, Microsoft just released solution templates for business, for Power BI, for business intelligence. There's a sales management for Dynamics CRM template, which gives you a really solid dashboard right within your BI, given a template out of the box, so you don't have to struggle trying to create your first BI experience.
Now, is that the thing that's replicating data to an Azure database to report off of?
I believe that's correct, yes.
And it's using Scribe Online replication services, I think, too.
That's correct. Yep. But this is a great step forward, getting that template out there. It's making Power BI a little bit more turnkey for those customers who want to take a look at it, or for those customers who don't necessarily have the ability to make the investment in doing customization and modification on a Power BI level with a partner, for example. This gives them a starting point, at least with a template that they could surface to their clients internally. Yeah,
Scott Redlace has been playing with it, and he said it's a good thing, and solves the performance issues. Mm-hmm. If you listen to episode, what was it, 17 or 18, he was talking about how just connecting to CRM Online, you could kick it off and go to dinner or movie, get a good night's of sleep, right, and then come back and have your report. So yeah, I think that's a good thing, and that shows that I think it's interesting to see Azure and CRM continue to get closer together. Mm-hmm. It wouldn't surprise me if it continues to blur further, which is a good thing, because that'll give more administrative capabilities and things like that. But all these new features seem to have an Azure component.
Mm-hmm. And everything is freely available on GitHub and documented. So you can download it and look at all the end results. You don't have to design and code for the template, which is pretty cool, especially for me, a non-developer.
What other news we got?
We have some in the Springwave. Some of the Springwave stuff is starting to come out on the trial environments. We're starting to see the 8.1 version on trials. If you go out and create a 30-day trial. I haven't dug into deep to find out all the nooks and crannies of what exactly is left in the Springwave, not in the trial environments, but we're starting to see that trickle through, which is really great to see. And also that's coming through for some of the new schema, like the customer field that we've been talking about. Some of the field service and project services functionality should be forthcoming. It's exciting to see that new features and functionality in trial environments.
Yeah, I signed up for trial and I got 8.1. I was really excited because I was going to do a demo and I was going to have to say, okay, well, this is 8.0, and then it gets really confusing when you have to give this 5-minute speech of, well, when you get this, you're going to see that it's a little bit different. I don't have it yet, and just to be able to sign up for the trial and get that. One thing with the trial experience, I think I noticed that changed is you now have a choice of sales, customer service, or both, and what I learned is for now, you want to choose the both option because if you sign up for sales or customer service, you get a solution in there that has just the sales or just the customer service area and does not have all the settings. I didn't even see this like security and users in there. Now there is a way to go and so like if you want to go change the settings for document management or go change the settings for server side sync or whatever, you there's a way to go promote a user to administrator so they see that. But unless you really want that focused experience, I would recommend choosing both. Save yourself a little bit of time.
But yeah, so that's exciting to see. And at the same time, for those of you who use GP, they're starting to get some of those updates out in your neck of the woods as well. So that's
great plans.
Yeah, that's what it says. I have not looked at it. I have no idea what's in there, but I figured I'd share that if folks out there that are of interest.
Welcome to our new podcast, GP Audio.
So that's the news for this week.
Let's shake it up a little bit and let's do our tool of the week first this week. I'm feeling crazy this morning. Tool of the week isn't really CRM specific, although it can be if you are someone who blogs about CRM, and that is Open Live Writer. You may remember Live Writer from the days of the Windows Essentials. I believe the last release was Windows Essentials 2012 that had Windows Live Mail and Windows Live Photo Gallery. All those others were fairly sad applications, but the one that I loved was Live Writer. By far the best blogging application for Windows. And I've tried them all, and I've never tried one as simple but as fully featured as this, and as easy, for example, to manage multiple blog accounts, to represent the theme of the blog accurately, to make inserting pictures easy. I mean, we have our CRM Audio blog and our Tip of the Day blog, and one of my personal blogs are all WordPress. And WordPress is easy enough to go to the WordPress site or use the WordPress app to write your blog post, but to me, things like inserting pictures and things like that is somewhat cumbersome. Where it gives you more of a Microsoft Word experience, and Microsoft Word also has a blog template, but it has issues. It formats things incorrectly sometimes. So, but the problem was LiveWriter had kind of fallen by the wayside, wasn't being updated. Last update was 2012, and it had stopped working with things like WordPress and certain typepad sites and things like that. So Microsoft made the decision to resurrect it as an open source project and release Open Live Writer. So if you go to openlivewriter.org, you can download it. I believe it's still technically in beta, but it retains all of the goodness and also works with modern WordPress sites and everything I've thrown at it. So if you're a blogger and you want to have that single application to manage all your blogs, I recommend Open Live Writer, openlivewriter.org.
Very cool. Yeah, that was quite a chore to get LiveWriter once they kind of really stopped supporting it as that live suite. It was quite a chore to get that installed. So that's great to see this is now open source. Really like that tool.
Okay, so George, you were going to talk about something about your dog fooding. Something about dog food.
Well, first a few news items of my own. I just provisioned a trial for the demo. Couple things of notice. Remember, we always complained that there are too many yellow notifications when you log in.
Yeah.
I think they listened. It's now green.
Well, they're listening to their clients.
Green's positive. Green means go. I guess.
It says by now. I wonder if I dismiss it, I get a yellow one. Another green one. Interactive Hub is green. It's no longer yellow. Get apps. Yeah, they're all green. That's it. They're all green. They're very positive now. Get insights. Yeah, so no more yellow notifications. Yay. The
I
other
was
thing
playing
that
with the interactive service hub, and I did notice that the process flow tabs are now no longer disembodied. They kind of stay where you want them to. That's a good thing.
there's lots of changes. One of the changes you'd be pleased in your new role, which you should tell us about it more. But I have to say that sample data being enhanced. So you get, when you provision trial, remember you used to get one user administrator, everything owned by administrator, and you on your own, and it's like 5 contacts and 7 companies, right? So now if you go into fresh org, you have like 20 odd users. You go to
Yes.
my active contacts, you get zip. If you switch view to active contacts, you get 79.
Yeah, I
The
noticed that,
data.
and they're more accurate, accurate sounding company names than AdventureWorks too. It looks almost like real data. Here's the issue with the users. I like the idea of having the users, but it appears they set up a database and are using it as a template or something, because look at your user and look at the mailbox associated with the user. If it's like it is in the North American data centers, you get your user with your name, George Dubinsky, but the mailbox it's linked to is somebody named Amy, and Amy has a different email address. And as a result, I have not for the life of me figured out how to make server-side sync to work. And you're also, the other change is you're getting a E3 trial provision at the same time, which is great because document management features work automatically, and exchange synchronization and the things like the Outlook app and like the folder tracking should work automatically because that's already provisioned. But the problem is the mailbox is linked to somebody named Amy, and I
No, I'm
cannot
looking at
figure out how to change it.
Veronica.
Oh, so you're Veronica. I'm Amy, you're Veronica. And Sean is Betty. Anyway, I'm sure they'll get that worked out. I don't want to harp on the problems. I think it's an improved process.
We're definitely starting to see more sample data, especially with field service and other components where that is being matured. So that's good to see that's continuing.
The only complaint perhaps that's been voiced was that some of the familiar names and companies started to disappear. So if you have a script, a demo script, you'd have to review it virtually every time you do a demo because some of the contacts and some of the companies, they're no longer there. Or linked in a different way. So you have to review it all the time. So I wish they wouldn't touch the old data, which used to say sample, remember bracket sample, and just add more data. So that would keep your existing demo scripts going. And if you want more, then you can explore more on the larger data sets. So
perhaps we should have a memorial for those people who are no longer with us. We'll always remember Jim Glynn.
Parenthetical sample. Now, when it creates those users, George, is that taking it off of your ability to license up to 25 in the trial, or are they consuming a license? Or so if you want to add additional users to your trial, or do you have to disable those sample users?
I would simply rename them in portal, Office portal.
But it does take a license.
Let me see how many.
Okay.
It would, yes,
okay.
Definitely. That's just normal users, normal trial. Yeah. So you would go by renaming, assigning. Okay. Enabled users.
I miss Cat Francis.
Hold on. All the users are actually disabled. 25 users and they all disabled. Only one enabled
user. That actually makes more sense. That actually makes more sense because then you can have the sample data owned by other users, but it doesn't impact your ability to license trial users. I like that.
Yes. Dogfooding. or basically consuming your own products. I wonder if you guys do it at Hitachi. Like, do you use what you preach? One interesting thing I noticed when for a while I had an email address on Microsoft email server, and when I downloaded Outlook for the iPhone, at some point, every time I start Outlook, it would say you have to upgrade to dog food edition, and it would give me an option to postpone it, which I kept doing, but saying don't do that, don't remind me again was not even an option. So I think at some point in time I would have to upgrade.
So did this feature just capture more feedback, or did it have new features?
It would be a
Maybe it
beta.
could give you some nice beta features or something.
I haven't installed it, and my assumption it would be a beta. It would be a number of good new features on it, as well as bugs. But it's really interesting and I would say pleasing to see that internally Microsoft is pushing employees, all employees, to use their applications internally and provide feedback and effectively beta test it. I think that the same happens with operating system builds, as far as I know. I'm not sure if it's a company-wide.
Kind of like the Windows Insider thing, where you can get the latest build of Windows and
except
beta.
it's not an option. You have to.
Right.
That seems to be the policy. You have to. You don't have a choice of opting out. So if you're within certain group of people like who deal with, let's say, operating systems or developers, you have to use the latest build available. So that's quite interesting. And I was wondering, say, do you guys at Hitachi use CRM internally?
Oh yeah, we use CRM for everything. I mean, that's one of the things that our leadership, even go back to when we were customer effective. At least my part of it, made a big deal that hey, we're going to use CRM. We're going to track our projects in CRM. We basically run our business out of CRM. All of our executive management has CRM dashboards. So we feel the pain when there's a problem, and we have the success of using the platform and have, as a result, it's more part of the DNA. I think that's important. I think it's really hard to be in especially professional services role for a product if you don't really use it. It creates a reality distortion, or you don't really understand what it's like to the real user. You can't empathize with real users, and things that in a laboratory in a clean room seem fine. Take the Power BI thing. The original Power BI release looked great in a demo for when you had 25 records, but it didn't work great when you had 25,000 records. And so I think by actually using it, you feel that, and then really what to recommend, and maybe what you should hold off recommending for now.
That's that's.
How about you, George? Do you actually use CRM on a daily basis?
I do, and in fact, I was staying away for a while from installing CRM for Outlook client. I don't know why. Since I rebuilt the machine, I just kind of forgot to install it because I use browser all the time. And I use server-side sync, so it's kind of not terribly important for me. But customer complained about certain issue that it wouldn't install for their CRM. The CRM for Outlook, and I had to install it and go through the same pain the customer did. And I did experience pain. I did find the reason, interestingly, that let's say not really well constructed sitemaps can stop CRM for Outlook client from installing.
Oh yeah, if you got a bad link in there, even if you're not like actively clicking on that link, it's going to
yeah,
it
throws a fit because of the way it builds the tree for the folder panel. If you duplicate items, for example, it doesn't like it very much. If you have dead links, yes, it doesn't like it very much. So I had to reset customer sitemap and go through the pain. But the good outcome was that customer now enjoying a very clean, nice, sparkling sitemap because we were put in a situation when we couldn't hold it off any longer. We were just putting it on the back burner. So yes, it was quite important for me to go through the same pain that customer did. So yeah, I do use CRM on a daily basis, and I do use our products, and I even pay for my own products. I know it's like from left pocket to right pocket plus 2% to the credit card company, but it's important for me to know that the cycle is working, and I'm prepared to pay 2% for the privilege of effectively testing it live on myself.
So, Joe, on the CRM for Outlook, are you using the full client, or are you using the app? The new
full client. I don't believe app is available.
Oh, is that in just North America? Another privileged thing?
I think it's North
America. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if it's available.
Have you used it, Joel? I haven't had a lot.
I haven't used it. I haven't used it in a real world scenario, but I do have one coming up that we're at least going to test it out. And I want to. I like it in principle, and I see the value in it. And it's just, you got to get the stars aligned with latest version, CRM Online and Exchange Online, and because it was even if you're in 2015 update 1, it's not going to work.
Right.
So that's what I'm waiting for, and I've got one project kicking off very shortly where we're going to at least give it the old college try, because I'm most interested in it for the administrative part of it. If I have 400 users spread between a bunch of locations, that's the most painful part, is the deployment of the Outlook client, configuring it, because somebody has to touch the computers. Even if you push it out, somebody usually has to actually configure it, and most people don't trust all their users to do that right. So usually it's a very I've seen projects that have gone great and then kind of bogged down when you get to that step, and having something more automated and something server side, or that is more of an app that you don't really have to, that doesn't require that, that piece running on the computer. I definitely see that as the future. It's not there yet for a lot of people, but I'll be there when it is. One thing that we haven't mentioned, that I don't think we mentioned at all, that I learned from our CRM Tip of the Day site last Friday, and I guess, do we have a part 2 for the CRM 2016 Update 1 videos this week?
It's upcoming. I'm not sure if it's going to be part 2. We've got a number of topics in the pipeline.
Okay.
But yes, part 2 will be coming, definitely.
But the thing I didn't know, and maybe I missed this in the preview guide, was the fact that the SLAs, the SLA enhancements, and if I'm understanding this right, we can now use SLAs with custom entities. Did I understand that right?
Yes, with any entity, in fact. Would it be activity? For example, you can set up an SLA for the phone call saying if deal value is less than, let's say, $20,000, your SLA is to keep the phone call under 5 minutes. And you can set it up, and put the failed stamp on your phone call if it's longer than 5 minutes, for example.
My first thought was, wow, that is really a game changer. My second thought was, I wonder what are some real world scenarios people will do with this, because that seems like the kind of thing that could open up a door to any kind of time gate scenario. But I couldn't come up with a real world example off the top of my head.
You don't
So,
like my keep your phone conversation short scenario?
I like that, but I mean, if you want to open the terrible customer service call center where everybody hangs up on you, then maybe. Most of my
Now,
call center clients want to encourage people to have a personal service and not. And well, they want to have a lot of calls. They don't want to rush people off the phone. I'm concerned that may have some negative side effects.
well, you can turn it on its head and say it must be over 5 minutes.
I mean, you could do the same thing with the guy from the prison ship on Ben Hur standing behind them, with the whip too.
The one thing I kind of a bit disappointed about custom SLAs is that to enable KPIs, you have to link your entity to KPI instance entity. And KPI instance entity is strictly time-based. So you can only introduce KPIs that are time-based.
Not
I was
quantity.
hoping that they will introduce KPIs on other data types, for example, money value, which would give us a clean way to say goodbye to goals.
Couldn't you come up with your own kind of KPI using roll-up fields? If you wanted to have
convert it to time. How are you gonna do
well,
that?
no, I mean for money value. If you want to have the total of a money value, you could have.
But you can't say what is failure and what is
Okay, I got you.
and what is warning level and what is success.
Okay.
Those metrics operate only on the time-based values.
And this is probably because it comes from the world of cases, which are all mainly time-based.
Correct. Yes. But it's good to see. Now, the one thing that became obvious to me last week, that every time I open entity properties form, the scroll bar button on the right becomes smaller and smaller. The window becomes longer and longer. There's more and more options there. So now there's SLA support as an option. Document templates, mail merge, you name it, audit, the old stuff, the new stuff. The phone has like 17 checkboxes on it. And I realized it's time to release a guide how to create entities without sort of regretting it. And I did post tip today.
That was the
Thursday
tip of the day.
It's already over 3,000 people.
Do you think it's time when you get so many options? I'm thinking of other applications I've used, even other Microsoft applications where you've got the standard. You got like the standard form gives you the say 75% most common options, and you have an advanced button to show these others. I'm wondering if we are coming to that place where I think all the features and options are great, but at the expense of ease of use sometimes when you just want to quickly create something, or for somebody who needs to start basic with training wheels before they get to introducing SLAs into the process.
Well, that's exactly what this guide is for. Basically, it screams at CRM developers, and I mean CRM team internal, that this dialogue, when you create new entity, should be reduced to one choice. Is it organization owned?
Right.
Oh, sorry, two choices: organization owned or user team owned, and is it activity or not? That's it. Don't give them any other choices.
I like your land of no return.
Well, that's what it is. You have to start over if you make the wrong choice. And,
right. Well, then if you added in all the relationship options and all that, this could get even more massive. But yeah, no, I like this. This is good to have all these options, because it's so easy to forget, the mobile stuff, or forget auditing or forget these other things, and now you're adding in SLAs and other things like that.
But the most important bit about removing all the options when you create is that half of those options, they have this little cross, which I say signifies a graveyard to me. It's like once you go in, you don't go back. That's what it is, right?
Yeah.
It's like a tombstone. And I advise people clear everything out. You can always go in, you won't be able to come back. Make your decision, delay your decisions. That's what it's all about. Which brings me to, I don't know about you guys, but I find myself basically overwhelmed with number of new features, new solutions, new fields, new SDK messages, changed messages, changes to the old entities like addresses. I feel like when you, Sean, talking about field services, I'm kind of put myself on mute and it goes, remember Homer Simpson, like la, 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 that's what goes in my head because I don't know anything about field services because I haven't touched it. I don't have time to touch it and I won't have time for the next 2 months. My question is,
Neil Benson tweeted out that there's more field service people in the U.S. than there are salespeople. So maybe you should.
Like 5 years ago, we would qualify ourselves as CRM specialists, right? What do? Microsoft Dynamics CRM. A year from now, I guarantee I won't be able personally to say I'm CRM specialist. I may be able to say I'm CRM specialist, which knows portals and voice of the customer. I will become in sort of specialized in a specific area, like, for example, customer engagement specialist or workflow wizard or CRM UX expert or something like that. Is it possible these days to know all of it?
I don't think so. I don't think it's possible to be an expert at everything and still have a job, unless that's your full-time job, because they keep moving your cheese too. So I have several people who I mentor.
Yep.
Sean has been one of them. I've taught him everything he knows. And so basically, my advice these days is to my mentees is, you need to know a little bit about a lot and a lot about a little. You need to know there's still a core foundation if you want to be a CRM general consultant. Now I think if you're a developer or if you're focused on a specific thing such as field service, and that's the only thing you do, then it is. But I think it's still too early to just be specialized on field service, because unless that's all your company does, you'll have dry patches where we don't have any of those projects. So you need a good general configuration, best practices, form layout. There's these general things, the stuff you just talked about with how to configure an entity. But then to be successful, I think you want to find one thing that you're really good at, one thing that really is exciting to you. And that's the thing, is there's so many things now. Everybody has like certain areas that they find boring and paint drying categories. Like, I've always found marketing automation kind of that way. Just from my perspective, it's never been something that I got really excited about. Some parts of it I do, but some parts of it I don't. But other parts of it, I would say things like mobile, field service, things like that, I can relate to more. I have past experiences that make them more in line. I work with a lot of insurance companies that have call centers, so I do a lot with call centers. And so from that, I think to be successful, you need to have a baseline. But I think you're right. You can't be it. Now, that's one of the reasons why I do things like this podcast and participate in CRM Tip of the Day, by hanging around people like Sean, who is excited about field services. Well, I'm not an expert at it. I learn about it, and I know I have context for those discussions, so that when I meet with a client, I'm not a field service expert. I can talk knowledgeably about it without, and then I bring along a Sean type expert to fill in the details.
And really, if you want to get down to it, I really got into field service so I'd have more mic time, because I knew you'd mute, George. But no, it's you're right, and it's focusing on certain niches of the product, because I really did try for a time to really consume everything that was coming out, and it's darn near impossible to really get in there well enough to where you can talk it forwards and backwards, understand every nuance. The changes just come too fast alongside of your own workload to be able to manage that. So by focusing on certain parts of the application and honing in there, and then like Joel said, creating, if you're not active in the community, which everyone that's listening, if you're not, you really should get involved in the community. It helps everyone. But if you're not involved in the community, it makes it very hard to try to understand how real life solutions can be derived from these functions if you're not familiar with the functionality. Like field service made sense to me because you have people come to the house, whether it's a plumber, whether it's the cable guy, they're actively using field service. You have a real life connection to what they're doing, and then through CRM, now I can make those connections and even possibly look at how you could use field service for other things besides the standard native field service where you're sending someone out to fix a widget. So it's not easy to really keep up with all of the changes that are happening. I'm excited about all the changes, but it's hard to keep up with all that.
Well, the sad part of the story is that that probably spells demise of micro businesses. It used to be possible to be a 1 or 2 man band, help people, small businesses set up CRM online, get them going, get their sales going, perhaps add service in there, customize it a bit. But it's no longer possible because the next thing you know, they say, hey, I noticed that there's good thing project services going on, which is going to be released. And project services, as far as I know, the demo of all the features takes about 3 days. Yeah. And that just walk through the features. That's not even building something.
That's not understanding the ERD.
Right? That's not even building a solution using that. It's just mind-boggling number of features. It's fully
I think there's still a place for small to mid-sized businesses, Salesforce automation, the old stalwarts. But those are, you're right. The way the market is moving and the complexity and the different things. The CRM, CRM doesn't accurately describe what a lot of people are doing with CRM, and so it's like project service. Is really its own category, and so that's where I think CRM becoming more of a it's always been a platform, it's always been XRM, but it's just going faster in that direction. I'm wondering how long the CRM brand will continue to be used, because it's no longer you're now so far out of the box of traditional CRM.
Yeah, when does it become something quote unquote something enablement or something like that, rather than CRM? Because CRM, to your point, it's much more than the relationships.
Well, I think I just looked at my notes. I think Microsoft does have an answer for those small businesses. Have you guys looked at Project Madeira?
I've heard of it. I haven't looked that much of it.
Just go to madeira.microsoft.com. It's like business contact management reinvented. Remember BCM?
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is it?
That's another take on it. I think using AX as a backend now.
Interesting. Well, I remember way back when those teams, the Outlook team or the BCM team and the CRM team, were always creating things in conflict, and that seemed to be quelled a little bit. But it's interesting if that kind of concept is coming back.
It's back. It's back. It's like, seriously, my take on it, I give this project a year. Seriously. The reason is not that it's bad, or it's even if it's the best thing under the stars or under the sun. Small businesses don't use product that developers offer them. Small businesses, for their accounting, use products that their accountants tell them to use. So unless Microsoft makes inroads into accountants, into accountant schools, I'm not even sure, is it university? What do you need to graduate from to get an accountant? College, probably.
Yeah, you need to get an accounting degree and usually get your CPA.
They need to get there, and you let them use this tool as internal tool, and basically, so when they graduate with the degree in accounting, they know this tool. That's how QuickBooks, for example, makes their living.
Right.
Because accountants, when they fresh out of college or university, whatever, they know QuickBooks, and they tell clients, "Oh, you should use QuickBooks. It's
right."
So easy."
And that came about because Quicken got all the banks to convert their electronic statements into their format.
Correct. So they're going about the wrong way. But what surprised me is the scale of the businesses this solution is pitched at. It's 10 to 100 employees. That's what it says. So it's reasonable sized businesses. It's definitely not a small business. So it's and I wonder, how does it talk to CRM? Are we gonna use Flow to talk to CRM?
Let's talk about Flow.
Let's talk about Flow. Yeah, let's stop talking about accounting. Yeah, it's boring.
Flow is Microsoft's new workflow, cross-application workflow engine that was is in preview, and we had a video about that on Tip of the Day 2 weeks ago as well. And if you use a product like If This Then That, with these kind of things that can make an action, one application make something else happen in another application, it's exactly like that. And so I played with it. I haven't been able to make it work, and I don't know why. I don't know if it for something about it, and I heard other people had this issue. The CRM, I can get it connect to my CRM instance, but steps like creating records or doing things when records are created are not working. It gives a general failure. I think it may have something to do with me still being on CRM 2015, and so or they may have certain things disabled in the preview. I don't know.
It could be you going other way around. That what Derek did in video. So I think you were trying to write something into CRM, trigger it from outside, right?
No. I was trying to. You
were trying another
scenario. I was trying to create a task in Wunderlist when a task in CRM assigned to me was created, because I want to have, I like Wunderlist, but I couldn't make it work. But I haven't given up.
Try other way around to start with. Try to create task in CRM when task in Wunderlist is created. That will work.
Okay.
So right into CRM. It's early days. For those interested, I mean, there's certainly plenty of tools on the market, like Zapier, IFTTT, that do this stuff. But what's interesting about this one is that I see the evolution of none other than BizTalk services. Used to be a BizTalk server, right, which is monstrosity, $14,000 monstrosity, and you have to go to university to be able to drive it. It's like Caterpillar truck. You have to graduate from the school to sit behind the wheels. So
here's an interesting scenario that I had this week is one of the connection points is Salesforce, actually. And it has all the same connection points that Power Apps does. So Dropbox, OneDrive for Business, no OneDrive Personal, though, which is disappointing to me, because I have almost 100 gigabytes in OneDrive Personal. But you can use Dropbox, you can use Google Drive, you can use SharePoint, and Salesforce is one of these things, as in the strange new world of co-opetition. So the interesting thing I was actually meeting with a new client that has that has a small group that's using Salesforce. The plan is ultimately to replace Salesforce, but for now, it's not in their top priority for the first couple phases. So we're going to keep them limping along on Salesforce until they're ready. But my thought was, say they had a scenario where they wanted to have, when a certain record was created in Salesforce, they want to create the same record in CRM. You theoretically could use Flow to do that now.
In theory, yes. I wouldn't rely on it as transactional tool. So keep in mind that things may not work, things may disappear, can be dropped off. So
Right.
no, it's I base it on my experience with other tools in the same category. You use it, but don't think of it as a transactional tool. So don't rely on it like to do your banking. So, but what I was going to say, so these BStock servers then migrated to BStock services, which is available in Azure, and you can quickly utilize Azure Power and bring it up and down as required. And then we see bits and pieces of this BStock logic or BStock engine surfacing in, I may be wrong about it, but it's got this feeling that it's surfacing in Logic Apps, which is Azure engine, and now it's surfacing in Flow, which is kind of user-friendly Logic Apps. So Logic Apps would allow you declaratively do the same stuff, but you had to do plumbing yourself, right? Here's a turnkey with the plumbing, nice UI, anyone can do it. But it would be interesting to see how it develops, and how does it interact, let's say, with Power Apps, and so user-friendly way to link things up and, connect your wanted list. If you forget to buy the milk, it's not the end of the world because, say, engine didn't push your task through. It's not the end of the world. But I'd say that if you need to push something like invoices into your accounting system, don't use that tool. Use something a bit more reliable. Write your own. Use third-party like SSIS tools, which are transactional, or write your own using Azure facilities.
Right.
And
but
so
this is the great kind of tool, and what I played with this and that about for is these kind of personal automation tasks that are not mission critical business applications, but are things for making my life easier. So, if I want to make one scenario, if I want to have it where I'm post to Yammer and that also posts that to my Facebook account or that kind of thing.
How do you think we post in tip of the day into the Facebook?
With Flow?
Not Flow, no, with Zapier.
Yeah. So, and the other scenarios is every time I update my Facebook status, add a line to a spreadsheet in my Dropbox. So, in case I want to preserve all my witty Facebook posts or whatever. But here's the question that I come up against in my mind with using it for a business application like CRM is, who is it ultimately for? And I've struggled a little bit thinking through real clients I've had. Who would this be for? Because I think the people who would really geek out about this are the IT people, the more tech savvy people. But it's not, even though it's very user friendly, I would not introduce this to a lot of end users because it's beyond really. They could cause a lot of problems with it. They could cause some real damage with it, but it also is really geared for an individual. It's not something that I saw anyway where I can create a flow and distribute it to different people, or make it, if I make something like take the Wunderlist scenario, like, every time a task is assigned to me, put in my Wunderlist, that's great, but I can't take that flow and give it to George without editing that flow and that type of thing. So that's where I'm struggling. I see a lot of personal use cases, but I'm struggling with how would I incorporate this real world to make a flow because there's no get current user, for example. Now, if there was a get current user and you could do a query like, have the flow assigned to somebody and say get current user, and if there's a task assigned to them, then do this with it.
I think you're trying to convert it into external workflow engine. I don't think that's what it is. I think it is personal. And I see it more of a personal automation tool, smart user, company champions. Some users are extremely proficient in using CRM. And, I was stoked like 3 weeks ago when I looked at one of our users' Outlook rule set. She had like a massive number of rules, diverting mails here and there, sorting folders. I'm saying, how you make sense out of it? And she said, well, look, it makes perfect sense. This email goes here. If email is from here, subject go here, and then it's this, and my real inbox is not this one, but this one. It's like, what? So I see that if you empower users like for personal productivity, for example, you get new task in CRM, immediately reassign it to Sean. That would certainly work.
Exactly. I see interesting use cases with with integrating, say, to a spreadsheet in OneDrive. So you go to a trade show, you got a simple spreadsheet where when people drop their card off, you scan it into the spreadsheet, and then have a flow that automatically creates a lead in CRM. I think that kind of stuff, it could work really well for it too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's though technically you should be using voice of the customer and collect the leads, but yeah, you're right. So let's see where it develops. I certainly like the idea. I like the look of it. I've always been complaining about lack of UI tools or user friendliness in Logic apps. But I think Microsoft eventually positioned Logic apps inside Azure as the developers tool, pure developers tool, to integrate different sets of APIs, bring them together. So you have to be a developer, and this is end user tool. So, and I think you can now, if you really wanted to. They're very sparse on details, but if you're a developer, you can submit your API to them. Currently, they're reviewing it, so like there is a review process, but they're saying it's as simple as providing them with the Swagger file and you're done, right? They will review it and add it to the set of available triggers or actions.
I did notice that they have Slack as one of the options on it as well. So this is the opportunity for you and Neil Benson to come together by having this flow that does something in CRM, Slack, and Wunderlist all at the same time.
Yeah, maybe we'll find common ground with Neil.
Then we'll all join hands and sing a song.
Maybe not.
This has been CRM Audio, the Microsoft Dynamics CRM podcast. You can hear previous episodes on our website, crm.audio. Subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, follow us on Twitter at CRM Audio, or leave us a comment on our Facebook page, facebook.com/CRM podcast. If you have any topic suggestions or questions that you would like for us to answer on a future episode, please drop us an email at voice@crm.audio. Special thanks to Dale Simmons for our theme music. Go check out his website, dalesimmons.com. Please join us next time on CRM Audio.